Today I'm going to share my thoughts on what to eat during SIBO treatment, so stay tuned. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Amanda Malachewski. I'm a certified functional nutrition gut health coach and a digestive and allergy detective, and I'm also the host of the Calm Digestion Method online coaching program. For weekly videos on how to find your personalized IBS and SIBO relief plan, please consider subscribing and be sure to hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video. Today I want to talk about a very common question that people with IBS and SIBO have, and that is, what should I eat while I'm doing my SIBO treatment? At this point in my life, I've advised hundreds of IBS and SIBO patients about what they should or shouldn't be eating and helped them figure out which foods were aggravating their IBS symptoms. Now, you've probably heard a lot of conflicting advice about this topic, so I wanted to take a few minutes to share my thoughts on this issue and help you find what's true for you while you're going through your personal SIBO treatment. So let's dive in. So real quick, SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and it's diagnosed with an either at-home or in-office breath test that you can get with your doctor, or you can order one yourself. So if you need a little bit more information about SIBO testing, you can check out my earlier video called How to Access SIBO Testing Without a Doctor and How to Read Your SIBO Test Right. I will leave links for those videos below this video. Okay, but for the purposes of this video, let's say that you have completed your SIBO test and it's turned out that you're SIBO positive and you're getting ready to do your SIBO treatment, either with rifaximin or with SIBO herbs. Lots of patients in this position have told me that they have been advised to eat a quote-unquote normal diet or to revert back to a diet that is really high in carbohydrates or fermentable carbohydrates, also known as FODMAPs, in order to feed the SIBO bacteria to be more successful during their treatment. On the other hand, other SIBO patients have heard that they should be eating a low carbohydrate or low FODMAP diet during their SIBO treatment. So who's right? This situation where there's two conflicting pieces of advice is really common in the IBS and SIBO space. So if you've been given either one of these pieces of advice, you might find what I'm about to tell you a little bit odd. But here's what I think about this. I strongly advise that you continue eating whatever diet you're already eating. In other words, I advise you not to change a single thing about it. And here are 3 reasons why. Reason number 1 is that changing your diet for a therapeutic reason actually involves quite a bit of work if you really want to get good answers and good results from that. It involves, first of all, an elimination process where you remove a large group of foods to try and understand if those types of foods are the reason for your food symptoms, and then you one by one do food reintroductions to try and see which specific foods you were really reacting to. Adding a bunch of foods that are likely to flare your symptoms just seems like it's going to make the process of treatment harder for you, make you more likely to give up, and it won't give you any of the useful information that you can actually get from doing a therapeutic diet process. What I've observed is that people who do this method either tend to quit their protocols partway through because of side effects, or they get to the other side and say, oh, I finished my rifaximin or my herbs, but I didn't really notice any improvement in my symptoms. Ultimately, you're trying to kill the bacteria that are inappropriately in the small intestine. And so it doesn't make sense to me that you would feed those bacteria and then make the antibiotics or the herbals have to work a lot harder to achieve a successful outcome. Doesn't make sense to me. Reason number 2 is that I'm a really firm believer in only testing one new thing or therapy at a time so that you can get really clear answers about whether or not that thing is truly helping you. This is the backbone of what I teach inside my programs to my clients. So if you change your diet and start medication or treatment at the same time, whether you have a positive or a negative effect from that treatment, you won't know which thing was responsible for the change. And this lack of clarity makes your treatment process take longer because you don't have the key details that help you understand exactly what's going on. Reason number 3 that I don't advise going back to a normal diet during your SIBO treatment is that any antibiotic treatment can come with negative side effects, particularly digestive side effects. So when you're someone with IBS who's already struggling with digestive symptoms, it doesn't seem like a good idea to kick the hornet's nest and increase those symptoms knowingly. And even more importantly, there isn't any specific evidence that this feed the SIBO strategy works better than not doing this. The only thing remotely close is that we do have a study that shows that sun fiber, or partially hydrolyzed guar gum, taken during SIBO treatment actually helps improve the outcome of the treatment protocol. But ultimately, your intention is to reduce your SIBO symptoms. So if you know that adding SIBO feeding foods is going to aggravate your symptoms, I, again, don't think that's a great idea. What I do advise my clients to do is to stick with whatever diet they're currently eating that is best minimizing their SIBO symptoms while they're doing their SIBO treatment. You're likely already good at avoiding the foods that are likely to cause you problems, so just continue avoiding those foods during your SIBO treatment. Then, once you're feeling better and you've proven to yourself that the rifaximin or the herbals work for you, and you've retested and shown that you are SIBO negative, then you can begin working on food reintroductions to see if your tolerance to your trigger foods has changed. So I'm curious about the kind of advice you've been given about what to eat during SIBO treatment. Tell me about it in the comments below. So that's the scoop on what to eat during SIBO treatment. Stick with what's working right now and worry about food after successful treatment. So I know that treating SIBO and managing IBS comes with a ton of questions for people who are dealing with this. And that's why helping my clients with all of their questions is a cornerstone of my Calm Digestion Method online program. So if you're ready to get serious about finding your personalized IBS and SIBO relief plan that works, there's no better time to get started than right now. All you have to do is book a free 45-minute discovery call with me at confluencenutrition.com/contact. We'll meet on that call to determine whether or not we're a good fit for one another, and if we're not, I will do my best to refer you to someone else who I think can help. All right, let me know if this video was helpful for you by clicking like or leaving me a comment or a question. And next, you might want to check out this video called Frequently Asked Questions About SIBO, where I talk about some of the very common problems that come up for people. See you next time.